YouTube's darkest videos #2. Did I watch #1? Who really knows? I honestly don't know. I just searched up darkest video on YouTube because I've watched a couple of this guy's videos and they're honestly pretty interesting. And by the way, I should warn right now. Well, I shouldn't warn, but wait, what was this? 9.1 million views. Anyways, I should say this. These videos usually aren't like that dark. Like in my opinion, at least, they're not that brutal. Like when they say darkest videos, it's like you think of like stuff that shouldn't even be allowed on YouTube, but it's usually fine. So if you're like, oh, I'm scared or whatever, it's not a big deal.
Nature gathering its forces for still another unending assault on man.
1-800-EMBASSY for res-
It sounds like it came
Okay, but
right
when
out of a
you
zombie
edit it
movie.
like this,
Living in homes with basements. Go below and stay below ground level.
Tornado warning.
April 9th.
bro, I'm not gonna lie, tornadoes are scary, bro. It's one of my biggest fears. And I know too much about them too. The fact that there was a tornado, like United States has some of the worst tornadoes in the world, and there's not many EF5s, so it's not the end of the world. But even an EF4 and EF3 can easily kill you. And the amount of EF4s per year is kind of shocking. I don't live near an area where tornadoes are, but there have been tornadoes that have touched down in the past, and it's like always scary because you're like, where do you go? Because just because they say, oh, go in your basement. Okay, well, if I'm in my basement and it rips off my whole house, I'm just gonna be exposed. Like, what? I don't know, but the point is that once I just did a ton of research for tornadoes before, and just knowing that there's been a tornado that touched down that was 2 miles long, that had what wind speeds of over 200 miles per hour, I think it was. Yeah, nope, absolutely not.
9th, 2015, a tornado begins to form during the evening hours in the small town of Franklin Grove, Illinois, quickly growing
Oh, of
larger and
course.
larger by the minute, to the point of reaching an
See, that's what I'm talking about. Like, what are you supposed to do? I think the scary part with the tornadoes is what are you supposed to do if this is nearby? Like, where are you supposed to go? And what makes it worse is every time I've experienced a tornado, it's always been at night, right? Oh my God! Imagine if this touched down near your house and it's nighttime, bro, or it's raining super hard so you can't see it. They call it rain wrapped. Like, what are you supposed to do? There's nothing you can do. Like, you can hope. I don't know.
unprecedented size for the area.
Yeah, absolutely not. Why would you sit here and film it?
Miles away in the town of Fairdale, 67-year-old Geraldine Schultz spotted the vortex forming in the distance. Worried, she called her husband Clem into the kitchen, where the two would stand watching the tornado out their window. For
You
the
get a
couple,
happy birthday? Sure, I didn't even know it was your birthday. Happy birthday, man. I don't even know how old you're turning, but hey, you're getting older. Sucks. I'm sorry I had to say it, bro, 'cause like, you know, I don't know, it's like the more I think about it, it's like when you think about it, happy birthday basically means, hey, you're just getting closer to your death. Like, yay, you'll celebrate closer to your death. Yay. Yay. Yippee.
tornadoes were nothing new, and Clem was quickly able to determine that the storm would likely miss
Okay, I
them.
feel bad for saying that though, because that's kind of cruel. I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of cruel to say to someone who's got their birthday, because I don't know. I mean, me personally, I don't care about birthdays, so I've never have, but I understand some people, you know, actually like really love them. I don't know. I've never, never. I'm not going there.
them to the east, but just to be safe, he went upstairs to grab some lanterns, in the likely event of a power outage.
Lanterns?
Upon doing so,
Oh, power
Clem would
outage.
catch a
Oh.
glimpse of the tornado outside the bedroom window, having grown significantly closer. Its wind speeds were well over 200 miles an hour.
Okay, so I don't know what about this tornado, because there's very few tornadoes that have gone 200 miles per hour, and I know most of them. I do not know this one. Oh, is this? Oh, I think I might know. Never mind. I don't know. I just don't know the time frame, but it could be the tri-state tornado potentially. But I don't know if it touched. I know it touched Illinois, but I don't know where.
and having been classified as an EF4, it was the largest twister the area had ever seen. In awe of its size, Clem began to record out the window, still
Oh,
certain that the
this is the
storm
video?
was heading east.
Oh, I've seen this. Okay, okay. I knew they were gonna use this footage, bro. I don't remember the lore of this footage, but I do know is this guy basically just tanked it like a man. Like he just, I don't remember if he died though. I don't know. I just remember like this footage just surfaced around for years, but basically this guy was recording out of his window and then the tornado hits the house and the footage just abruptly stops. So no, it would not be the Tri-State tornado, by the way.
But unfortunately, he was wrong. And in reality, the powerful storm was heading directly towards him. By the time Clem would realize this, it was far too late. There was no time to run, and not a chance to hide. All he could do was stand there helplessly and watch.
Jeez. I mean, okay. I want to start off by saying this. I know most people would probably, because I used to do this when I first saw footage. Why would you stand there in obviously a elevated level when a tornado's coming? It's easy to critique someone for that, by the way, because first off, it's just common knowledge that you should never be elevated in a place that's about to get hit by a tornado, because if the building collapses, you're guaranteed getting smashed. Also, the top is more likely to destroy. But you have to realize that if you're in that situation, what are you supposed to do? There's basically no hope anyways. Like, assuming he doesn't have a basement or shelter, and even if he did, like, the odds of him getting there are so low that it doesn't matter. I hate to be that guy, but just critiquing that is ridiculous.
Was a direct hit as the EF4 tornado tore through the house before Clem could even say a word, quickly turning the home that had once stood there for 100 years to dust and rubble. And buried beneath it all was Clem, along with his wife of 25 years.
Do they die? I don't know.
They got fire rescue on the way.
Against all odds,
What?
Clem would somehow survive, pulling himself up from the field of debris. It was a storm that would go on to destroy numerous homes and take the lives of 2 people, one of whom was Clem's neighbor and good friend Jacqueline Closa, who lived in the house that Clem had filmed being destroyed just moments before it struck him, and the other being Geraldine, Clem's wife and best friend. Days following the disaster, a family member who had been searching the area
I already know how it's gonna end. The wife dies, and it just makes me realize how lucky I am to even be alive. Like, it's just like when you hear these stories, you just realize how lucky you have it because you have a house that's not under threats. You live, well, most people have a house, and if you have a house, you're automatically like in a better position. I don't know. It's just like realizing you have all the things you do and you're not like under threat. It's huge. The easy way to escape a tornado is by driving away from the tornado. I'm sure, I guess. I don't know. I wouldn't personally do that because it can cut you off through roads. I believe, oh yeah, most tornadoes go northeast. So if you're trying to avoid a tornado by car, you should try to go southwest. But the El Reno tornado proved that that's not always the case because that's how it killed many storm chasers, and that's why it's the most famous tornado for being the biggest tornado of all time and also the one that killed the most storm chasers. So you got to be careful. That's the problem. Because if you think you can just outrun a tornado, but it's not guaranteed because it can switch paths super easily. And it could also be deceiving, like, oh, it looks like it's going this way. It's not. It probably is going towards you. And some tornadoes are super fast, way faster than you'd imagine. Tornadoes are just wind. Well, yeah, but they can hurl stuff at you, and they can pick up cars. It depends how strong they are. And if the winds are high enough speed, they literally can just destroy everything around, like, that touches it. Like, A car could just get demolished. I mean, have you seen like the pictures of like school buses getting just like completely torn apart? It's crazy. Like, but that's extreme scenarios. That's the thing. I mean, if a tornado touches, like, the average person is not going to experience like the hardest of hardcore tornadoes. I mean, like an EF2 is not going to kill you if you're in a car, probably. But who really knows?
area for anything salvageable would stumble across Clem's
Bro's
phone.
trying. Oh my god, what else is massive? Bro, I'm so sick of the low taper fade meme. I thought it was like, oh, that's pretty funny at first. But bro, it's 2025, bro. Like, why are people still saying it? I don't get it. What is there to say? Like, how is it still relevant? I don't get it. I think the problem is he dragged, like, Ninja dragged that meme to the ground, and then everyone just clip farmed that, like, every time he dragged it. Which is why drag now becomes part of the saying, like, oh, you know what else is dragged out? Oh. And now it's like if anyone says any of the key words, like massive, or low, or fade, or even just dragged, it's like, oh, well, gotta say stupid low taper fade, like, oh my god. I don't know. I still find the original, like the whole thing of him singing whatever the guy was singing the low taper fade is so weird to me and funny. But I understand, it's just the backstory's weird. Like he was depressed, he was about to cry while singing, so he just thought of something to cheer himself up. Which I was like, okay, it's kind of random to sing like Imagine Ninja got a low taper fade. That's super weird. I don't know, but I'm kind of sick of this stupid thing. It's like every comment section nowadays has low taper fade involved in it.
Which miraculously was still working. And on it would be the now infamous video that showed the point of view of a man being struck head-on by a tornado.
And he survived.
And somehow surviving.
That's
The imagery,
impressive.
the sounds, and the context make this clip one of the most shocking I have ever seen, as well as one of the darkest across all of YouTube.
The tornado has passed. Capricious, swift, savage.
Before we move on to the next video, I want to briefly thank today's sponsor, Casetify. I, like many
Is it going to do the jump ahead feature? It
though, as
does! Wow. Oh,
that
well,
day-
that's not what... Okay, so it's a stupid feature. Oh, maybe I misclicked. Okay, let me try it again. I just want to see if it like actually works
whatever style
properly.
you're into,
Jump
and you can
ahead.
even get 15% off.
It did work. Wow, I'm impressed. I'm actually impressed they did this. I don't know if it's on mobile, though. Bro survived because he got plot armor. He's the main character? I mean, sure. You know, there's a lot of people who survive crazy things. Oh my god, oh my god. Like the guy who survived being swallowed by a whale. That's crazy. I just remember that story. It's... Oh, and there's a guy. Oh my. Okay, I'm gonna get off topic. So I don't. I think it was a Mr. Ballin who told that story too, which we'll react to Mr. Ballin later. So just wait for that later. Is there an issue with YouTube on phone where the audio and video is out of sync for you? No, there is not. Don't have that issue.
Your brand new phone case.
A new high-tech way to find out who's at the door.
With a video doorbell, you'll never miss a visitor.
Ah, it's gonna be one of these.
In the past few years, the world has seen a boom in the use of doorbell cameras, mainly because of instances like this.
Oh, they got a camera. Oh, they got a camera. Oh, they got a camera.
Capturing
Whoa,
and
what the
exposing
hell?
criminals in the act, from the most petty of
I
thieves
swear, some people literally have no morals, no like, what's the word, like social awareness, like at all. Like, how do you? I mean, if I was trying to like go to a house, right, and I just start, and then I find out they have a camera, I'm not gonna be yelling, "Oh, they have a camera," in the middle of the night, like, and running. Like, you just look so weird. I don't. You look immediately suspicious. For some reason, your stream is out of sync with the audio. Is it actually? Well, there's only one way to test that out. Let me, Well, there's only one way to test. Yeah, it's not. Okay, it's confirmed not. So. Oh, you're on phone? I'm not. Okay, I don't. Where's my phone? Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, the point is, you know, I think what makes a Ring doorbell scary is the idea that like if you don't have one, you'll never know that these things are happening. Well, I'm assuming he's gonna show something really ridiculous that's like, oh God. And that's what makes it scary. And that's what's like, it almost pushes me to say, hey, I'm gonna buy one with my own money, but at the same time, there's better things to invest in. If I was to invest money into camera, I would get a dash cam before a Ring doorbell. Unless you live in a dangerous area. Because a dash cam, if someone pulls some sort of scam on you or does something stupid, you have proof, undeniable proof that, you know, they crashed into you. But you also have proof that you crashed into them if you're a bad driver. But, I mean, for me, it's like, that's not going to happen. It's unlikely. The point is dash cam, yeah, that's something I would rather get over a door cam.
all the way to attempted murderers and kidnappers.
Oh, yeah.
Due to their knack for capturing
Okay,
disturbing
what is
encounters,
this?
the videos that have emerged from these devices have practically carved out their own genre here on YouTube, to the point that many, including myself, have almost become desensitized to them. But recently, a video began making the rounds, showing the events that transpired at a Las Vegas home on the evening of July 21st, 2000.
No, I'm just gonna say it. It's kind of looks like the tops, cause wait, no, not. Wait, oh no, the Lucky 38 from Fallout New Vegas kind of looks like it. Yeah, never mind, it doesn't, but I just had to say it, cause you know, he said New Vegas, so obviously, you know, you gotta make the reference. Gotta make the reference. The dash cam is important during drives, of course. I mean, I don't know. I haven't personally. I think one of the problems with the internet is that it shows like you see the bad stuff. So like for me, it's like, oh man, you see all these bad drivers and dash like you know, what's it called? Brake checkers, insurance scammers. And so you instantly are like, oh my God, everyone's like that. But in my experience, no, it's not the case at all. I've never had to deal with anyone yet, at least, that has had a problem. So I don't know. It's just good to be safe.
2021, and it proved to be one of the most chilling I have ever seen. It happened around 8 p.m., where a young lady had been working in her kitchen, waiting for her husband to return home from work. It was another 100-degree day in Vegas, and likely in an attempt to cool down, she would open her window to let the evening breeze in. Unbeknownst to her, this harmless decision would lead to a terrifying series of events. Outside of the home, a man had been wandering the suburban streets aimlessly, roaming throughout the neighborhood before stopping in his tracks. In front of him was the open window and a clear view of the woman inside. It was a chance sighting that would lead to the man approaching the house and ringing the doorbell, where the camera would begin to record.
Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you.
He low-key looks like he goes to the gym, which is kind of scary. I don't want, by the way, I shouldn't say that, like, everyone who goes to the gym instantly is a strong man who's a force to be reckoned with, because that's not true at all. There's people who can look intimidating, but literally have no clue how to fight. But they're more likely to at least be able to physically push you to the ground, which is automatically a huge issue. Dash cam compilations would be fun to watch, but if it's all for brake checkers, then that would be dumb. Strong men do not bark. Yeah, true, I guess. They just go. I mean, the best way, by the way, the best, way to know if someone's truly, like, a fighter and knows what they're doing is based off of how they act, in the sense that they don't, like, actually just try to start altercations, but only defend themselves when necessary. Those are usually the strongest people.
Are you sure? I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure?
Who's he talking to?
What? Are you sure?
Who's he talking to?
I just rang your doorbell because I have a couple questions for you. Are you sure?
That's
The
an
man
NPC
stands there
mouse.
ringing the doorbell and knocking at the door, repeating the same sentences over and over again, calmly stating that he just wants to ask a few questions. However, the woman inside had never met this man. In fact, she had never seen him before this moment. And to make it all stranger, she didn't respond to anything the man was saying, and was out of his line of view as he peeked through the door. So the phrases that he was saying were not in response to
Yeah, so he's off the
anyone,
drugs.
and
It's obvious.
instead,
Alright, I've heard cases of these stories where people are off the drugs and they just do weird stuff. And they kill people or they attack people who are just standing in their house. It's not, I'm not gonna say it's common, but I've heard enough of these stories to know that's probably what's gonna end up happening here. He's gonna attack her somehow. Well, yeah, through the window, yeah, obviously. If that dude was in Texas, he'd be screwed. Yeah, probably. I don't. Oh yeah, this is New Vegas, right.
he was speaking to himself. Fearing for her safety, the woman inside didn't open the door or engage him at all, leading the man to take things a step further.
Are you positive? I just have a couple questions for you. Are you sure? Are you positive? Are you sure? Are you absolutely certain?
He begins trying to open the door, but thankfully it was locked, causing the strange man to start walking away, cursing under his breath. The footage is incredibly off-putting, and although the man seems to stay perfectly calm, there was something very aggressive and erratic about the way he was speaking, making one wonder what his true intentions were when he approached the house. As the man begins to walk away, the woman's husband, still at work, would chime in through the doorbell after noticing the situation begin to unfold, which in turn would lead to the man revealing why he was ringing the doorbell.
So who are you?
What? Yeah? Are you sure?
Who are you?
Hey, I just had a couple questions. I just wanted to ask you about a TV show. Yeah, can you hear me? What I'm looking for is for the girl that's in the house to come out here because I'm going to rip her and kill her.
Okay. Yeah, so. Why? Okay. Yeah, that's diabolical. The worst part is, I guarantee it's going to escalate from here. If that man did not speak, I guarantee this would not... Okay. What's your opinion on PSAs? I don't even know what a PSA is. It sounds I feel like I should know what that is. I have no idea what it is.
You have her open the door? I'm going to rape and kill the girl that's on the other side of this door when she lets me in.
Why would you announce that,
It
though?
was no secret what he had planned for that evening. He outright says it, even revealing that he had the weapons to make it happen.
Okay. Yeah, no, this guy's... I don't get it. I was gonna say, oh, maybe he's just like a drugged up person who just is out of his mind and just is wandering aimlessly, but like, dude, you had the weapons on you? What? Like, dude, who walks around in the middle of like New Vegas and just looks for houses that have women in them guaranteed, and then, oh, now I'm gonna randomly choose this as my victim? Well, I can tell you who. People who belong in jail. So.
I want to rape her and kill her because I have a knife and a gun. Yeah, and I'm going to knock on her door again.
If that woman had opened the door, or if that door had been unlocked, well, we know what would have happened. But thankfully, neither of those situations played out, and instead, the man walked away muttering the same phrases over and over again.
Wait, so he didn't jump through the window?
What?
Even staring at the house for a few moments before finally disappearing into the night. Police were called to the area moments later, but the man was nowhere to be found. As quickly as he had entered this couple's life, he was now gone, leaving them with the reality that at any moment he could return. Scared for her life.
Absolutely not. Ooh, yeah. I'd argue that's worse. That's the worst case scenario for him to walk away and not get caught, because imagine if someone tried to break into your house, they failed, they just walked away and never got caught. They had guns too. You knew they had guns. They had a crowbar. They failed. Now you know, hey, they might come back. Like, what are you gonna do? Like, there's nothing you can do. Because now it's like when you're sleeping, you could come in and try to kill or enter the house. I would never be able to sleep. I'm gonna be honest. That's like the worst case scenario. That's like literally a living nightmare. It's like that's literally nightmares people would have in real life, though. Like, damn.
The lady posted the clip online, where it would quickly go viral across YouTube, which honestly may have ended up saving a life. The following day, a viewer of the video would recognize the same man walking in another residential area, in one that was not too far away from the house where the encounter took place. And after the police were called, the man would be quickly arrested before he could play out his disturbing fantasy. When confronted and asked for his name, the man would simply state that he was the Holy Spirit, and said nothing more. Though his real name was revealed to be Christopher Sums, a man who had passed charges of stealing, assaulting, and intimidating a witness, with his mugshot being nothing short
Oh,
of...
joke, dude. Okay, that's gonna have to be the thumbnail of the video, bro. That's... Dude, this guy is crazy. He's definitely got a mental illness. Do I know what it is? No, I have no clue. I mean, maybe it's a combination of drugs and mental illness. I have no idea, but this guy is clearly, probably... I would imagine... maybe has voices in his head that tell him something. So maybe schizophrenia, I don't know. I don't know.
Completely haunting. But what I found most surprising was the fact that he didn't always look like this. In fact, just a few years ago, he looked completely normal. And according to his LinkedIn, he had a fairly impressive work history and what seemed to be a good life, until for whatever reason, things spiraled in the wrong direction. As it stands, Christopher is being evaluated to see if he is mentally fit to stand trial, as many believe that he likely suffers from some kind of psychological condition, hence the repeating phrases and the strange behavior. Though his blatant and rapid change in appearance might also point to heavy drug use, or even a combination of both. But regardless of what was behind his behavior that day, the situation and the subsequent video is haunting, and could have been so much worse had that door been opened.
Are you sure?
I think that's, by the way, this is what I do every time I have to enter the door. I check through the people first. I recommend everyone doing that, because if you just blindly open a door to a random person, you have no clue what they're... I mean, to be fair, even if I saw a random person, I'd probably open the door still. Actually, no, I wouldn't. I don't open the door. I usually talk through the door, like a glass door. Whatever, it doesn't matter. The point is just don't open the doors for strangers.
I feel like everyone's out to get me.
Hello, this is Tababa McConnell.
Posted this.
YouTube is a site that draws in people from all walks of life, each with their own unique motivation for starting up their channels.
Why is the footage so
Some
low
are in it
quality?
for the money and the fame, while others are in it for the love of creating content. But sprinkled throughout the site are a select few who come here to feel heard and to get something off their chest. Something that for 27-year-old Tabebe Mukanin would be his primary motivation for posting his first and only video.
I'm not gonna lie, it kind of looks like Neil deGrasse Tyson, with just his hair grown out a little bit.
On March 17, 2018. Tabebe had struggled his whole life with mental illness, suffering from both schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. These mental illnesses led to an event in 2013 where he would wander off from his home unprovoked. Outside, he began to walk for miles, essentially in a daze, before finding himself in what he described as a very dangerous part of town. Thankfully, Tabebe would be safely found before anything had happened to him, but this incident would prove to be life-changing, as it would lead to his hospitalization due to his unpredictable and dangerous behavior. This would also start a long spell of being given heavy medication to help with his schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. Over the course of the next 4 years, Tabebe would find himself in and out of the hospital and prescribed a variety of powerful antipsychotic drugs, something that would consume his life as he felt like he was no longer in control of his actions. And feeling trapped, he would turn to YouTube to share his story.
Hello, this is Tababa McConnell. I'm talking and putting this video because I wanted to bring awareness to a situation that I'm dealing with that's very painful I was hospitalized June 25th, 2013. I went there to supposedly get an IV. I ended up being forced to take medication. And it was pure hell. They gave me Haldol, Risperidol, and they were forcing antipsychotics down my throat. It was absolute torture.
I think the main thing, I think the main problem I don't know. I feel like the whole medicine thing, yeah, I mean, I don't know what he's gonna say, why it was hell, but I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing to be forced medicine. Have medicine forced down your throat. Like, that's not the worst thing ever if it's gonna help you. But I think what the problem was two things. One, the bill's gonna be really ridiculous because the hospital is overpriced in the United States for no reason. And second off, I want to hear what else he says. Like, there's probably side effects.
Hell.
In the
Wait, that's what
10-minute
he
video,
says.
Tebebe made it clear that he was not consenting to this medical treatment, and he explained how the medication he was forced to take made him feel like a zombie, even saying that it had gotten so bad that he had thoughts of taking his own life.
Okay.
It was bad. It was really bad. And I had suicidal ideation.
Throughout the clip, Tebebe comes across as intelligent and well-spoken.
Yeah, that's why it's strange. Is he off the meds right now? Is he? I don't know. Because if he is, he's pretty normal to me. He seems like a normal guy. But I have a feeling I know where this story's going. He's probably going to do something crazy horrible. Like, he's probably going to... I'm just going to take a wild assumption. Probably to do something with the car. He's going to drive it into people on purpose. That's my assumption.
But traces of his illness shine through periodically. For instance, he explains how immediately after being released from the hospital on multiple occasions, he would wander away from his home, even attempting to be homeless for a while admitting that he didn't know why this was an issue, or why it would always lead to him going back to the hospital.
I got off, and I think I had another episode as they like to say, where I said I wanted to be homeless. That's it. All I said was I wanted to be homeless. So, and I proceeded to be homeless. And next thing I know, the cops came and they arrested me and they took me back to the hospital. Then after that,
arrested for what though? Okay, yeah, no, this doesn't make sense. Arrested implies that he was getting charged with something, which makes no sense. Because you can't arrest a man for choosing to be homeless. Because if that was the case, then everyone who's on the streets homeless should be arrested, but they're not. So what?
I tried to be homeless again, and I was hospitalized again.
But things would be further escalated as Tebebe casually explains how he has violent outbursts, even resorting to punching multiple people who were trying to give him medication, as well as starving himself in retaliation.
So I started getting violent, and I started punching people, and I started attacking people in the hospital, and they had to tie me down. I began to lash out like, I'm going to protest this. I'm going to starve myself as a way of hopefully stopping this ridiculous forced treatment for absolutely nothing.
And by the end of the
lie. Okay, the zoom up needs to...
video, Tebebe flat out explains that he does not have any sort of mental illness, or have any symptoms for that matter.
Well, okay, he's clearly not thinking straight because he does. No normal person would... I don't know, maybe he has like an actual weird reason that like he wants to live the homeless life for whatever reason, but odds are that's not the case. That's not something a normal person would do. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna decide to live homeless for the next couple weeks. You know, I'm just gonna abandon my house for fun. I don't want to live this luxurious life I have. Nope, nope, nope. The other thing I want to mention though is those hospital bills are probably out like $1 million plus. The real question is, well, who's covering those bills? You could say, oh, insurance, but insurance doesn't pay everything. Maybe they would. I don't know. They're usually not that, kind.
Calling what was happening to him an injustice.
I guess I'm just trying to let you guys know the injustice that goes on.
It's a truly depressing situation, as on one hand he is being forced to take medication that essentially makes him feel dead inside, while on the other hand it seems very apparent that treatment is necessary to not only keep others around him, but himself safe, as he doesn't seem fully aware of how serious some of his actions are. Tebebe concluded the video by asking those watching what they thought of his situation, and though it didn't garner many views, a select few would stumble upon it and agree with his stance that the treatment he was receiving was unlawful, with many
Alright. I don't think those people have a right to say their opinion. I just don't think people have a right to speak on that because it's his perspective and it's only coming from one side, so we don't really know. Like, his side of the story is going to be biased, it's going to be telling the way he sees things, and he clearly, evidently sees stuff wrong because he doesn't know why he's going to the hospital. And that's very telling because you don't just go to the hospital for no reason. That's for emergencies. So, in my opinion, siding with him is questionable until you get the hospital side of the thing, and then you can say, oh, well, I can see his side. But just saying, believing him is ridiculous because he could just be leaving things out. Like, what?
insinuating that he should continue to protest and not take his medication.
Yeah, and this is,
These comments are unfortunately no longer available, as just a few weeks ago the video was removed, but they had been reflected across multiple sites as people called out the commenters for essentially trying to convince someone to go off his medication cold turkey, and doing so without knowing the true extent of his medical history, which obviously is irresponsible.
See, this is, dude, this is why I'm sick of these, like, just in general, of people on the internet, because they just say things without having knowledge, or they say things that are stupid, and they act like what they say is completely factual and it's the only right answer. Like, no, this is not the right answer at all. And everyone who commented that are stupid because they don't understand anything. Even if you're a doctor, I mean, it's like, imagine if you're a doctor watching that. Would you, as a doctor, tell him, hey, stop taking his medicine? Put it in that perspective. No, you wouldn't. So, there you go.
And potentially very dangerous. But unfortunately, these conflicting viewpoints came years later, and in that time surrounding the video's release, Tebebe had likely found the verification he was looking for. He was going to keep protesting his medication. This video would be the first and last that we would ever hear from Tebebe, but it wouldn't be the last we'd hear of him.
Yep, he's gonna
Just
do
2
some
months
rash.
following the video, Tebebe would make the local news after having an encounter at the hospital. There, a therapist entered his room to talk with him, when suddenly Tebebe snapped, grabbing her and refusing to let go, while performing lewd gestures toward her and eventually pinning her on the ground, refusing to let her go. The situation led to Tebebe being arrested for sexual battery, but no jail time was ever given, as instead, a plea deal was reached where Tebebe agreed to stay in the hospital, and most importantly, he agreed to go back on his medication and take it as prescribed.
Oh, okay.
It's this note that hints at the idea that he had likely gone off his medication before this incident, something that would have directly led to his violent outburst. And given the event's proximity to the video that he had just posted, and the comments supporting his desire to stop taking his medication, it's not hard to theorize that Tebebe may have cut off his meds due to the advice of his comment section, or at the very least was further convinced that it was the right thing to do. Regardless, it seemed clear that the inconsistencies with his medication had caused him to lose control, and this wouldn't be the last time. In the summer of 2019, Tebebe was staying at an Embassy Suites hotel with his mother Zalem Abje, who had been caring
Okay, so he made it out the hospital and he's taking his medicine, probably. So that's a good sign, but I don't know.
For him around the clock. He had been moved there from the hospital as part of his treatment plan, as it kept him close by and easy to monitor regularly, but it also made him free of being cooped up in a hospital room, which clearly he didn't enjoy. The change of scenery was likely supposed to calm Tebebe and his growing anger issues, but unfortunately, his violent outbursts did not stop there. On August 20th at 1:30 a.m., Tebebe would get into an altercation with his mother in their hotel room. It's not clear what had started the arguments, but things would quickly turn physical, as Tebebe started to shove his mother, pushing her so hard that it would knock her out of the room, and then onto their balcony.
Oh no,
Their room was on one of the top
no.
floors of the hotel, and it overlooked the lobby down below, and in one more violent outburst, Tebebe would give one final push, this time knocking her all the way over the railing, causing her to plummet to the ground below. She did not survive the impact. Tebebe Makanin was arrested at the scene and held at a holding center where he remains to this day awaiting his trial, though his crime is clear and it's likely he will spend the rest of his life either behind bars or in some kind of institution.
I just can't imagine being dealt that kind of hand in life. Like, imagine being born in the world and then you just, like, your life is all it is just being under surveillance because you have a mental illness and you're not really willing to accept it, and the way they treat you makes you angry, so you just have an endless cycle of just depression or anger. I don't know, like, my God. That's a horrible way to live. Like, oh my God. Wow. I think the big mistake really is, why would you put him in a hotel when you know he has outbursts? Because who's gonna stop him? Like, at least in a hospital, yes, is it bad to have hospital members attacked? Yeah, of course. But, like, at least they can put restraints over him, they can control him, they can, give him drugs and whatnot to, like, calm him down. I mean, if he does that in the hotel, there's no one to stop him until it's already too late. So, like, very clearly they weren't being smart. Whatever. I don't know. That's horrible. I don't know.
The events that happened on that fateful morning are still somewhat unknown to this day, though we do know the events that led up to it, and the years of hurt and anger that Tebebe had built up, as well as his inconsistent and dangerous use of antipsychotics, which, unsurprisingly, it appears that he had again attempted to take himself off of his meds in the time surrounding his murderous fit, with this being used as the likely reason for his behavior that day. Something that was telegraphed in one single video, which, looking back, almost foreshadows the tragic events that were soon to come. Events that may have been further spurred on by the viewers watching him.
Make me a zombie.
The true miracle happened right out of a zombie movie.
Our next video takes us across the world to the Philippines in mid-July 2014. The story begins on a tragic note as a family says their goodbyes to their 3-year-old daughter. In the days prior, the young girl had developed a severe fever, and without access to an up-to-date medical facility, she would pass away in the morning hours on July 12th. With no pulse and no heartbeat, the little girl was pronounced dead and taken home to prepare for the funeral, which would be held the next day. It was obviously a somber event, as the girl was placed in her casket and the lid was shut. Family members and loved ones gathered around to celebrate the short life of a child who deserved so much more.
You know, this is gonna sound really, really, like, kind of depressing, but I hope that when I die, that there's gonna be a lot of people who show up to my funeral and actually appreciate who I was, and I'm remembered in a good light. I mean, is that really depressing? Not necessarily. It's basically just hoping that there's people, I live a life where people around me actually care about me. Because I think the worst thing that could happen to any human is dying and being forgotten immediately. That is probably the worst case scenario of all time, because that means your life, you had no one cared about you. What's the, like, you know how horrible that is to realize that no one cares about you? Like, oh God.
And watch as she was placed into the ground, which would be her final resting place. But before that would happen, one of the neighbors had been in charge of arranging the young girl's body before burial. Though something strange happened when he went to do so. Inside the coffin, the young girl's head began to move.
Oh.
It was a slight twitch, but in a panic, the neighbor checked for a pulse only to discover that her heart was still beating and the young girl was breathing. One of the family members begins to record as the sudden wave of realization hits that the child was actually alive.
Okay, but why is this disturbing? Oh yeah, she's definitely alive. Wow.
It's the ultimate case of what if. Had that person not opened the casket to reposition the body, then that little girl would have been buried alive, and no one would have
Oh, because it was closed casket. Oh, okay. Okay, that makes a lot more sense. I was gonna say, like, what? That makes sense. Okay. That's crazy. Yeah, that is... If you really think about it, that's actually crazy because if no one checked, she would have died. And no one would have thought of anything.
Known. It's a clip that I'm sure many of you have seen by now, as the original video itself has garnered over 1 million views. And topping that, a news station that covered the story currently sits with 25 million views. It's one of the more viral horror stories that I've ever seen on YouTube, as seemingly everyone knows about this infamous video. And rightfully so. I mean, it's one of the craziest stories I have ever seen, both on YouTube or in the news. But the only problem is, this viral video didn't tell the whole story.
Oh no.
The story itself does in fact appear to be true, having been confirmed by Philippine officials who admitted that a mistake had been made in that particular hospital, which led to the mix-up and almost to the mistaken burial. But the story doesn't have the happy ending that many of us thought, as in reality, that child never actually woke up.
What?
She did have a pulse and shallow breathing, but she would never regain consciousness and remained in a comatose state. In fact, just 2 days after this video was taken, and on the 15th of July, she would once again be pronounced dead, this time for real. But looking back on the viral video viewed by millions, the anchors say that she was fine, calling it a miracle.
Happy tears, knowing that the baby, thankfully she's fine.
You know, that put a thought in my head of like, oh my god. This, oh god, like what if it's just like imagine going to sleep. Like what if I went to sleep and never woke up again? That's, it's things like that that's just like, oh my god. That's why sleep is so scary, because the idea of like, hey, I can just fall asleep and you just trust your body to wake you up eventually. I mean, really, if you think about it, that's like, you're really putting a lot of faith in your brain to say, hey, wake up. Because in reality, you could easily just keep sleeping. I don't know. That probably sounds stupid, but my point is basically like, one of the things that scares me is the idea of like falling asleep and then never waking up. Maybe I'm in a coma, or maybe I die. I don't know. That would be horrible. Because it's like, damn, I had no knowledge of it. I was just gonna wake up for the next day all happy. Nope, dead.
I'm glad they opened that casket to check to move around.
Now, it may be possible that they just didn't know this at the time, as based off of the way they're talking, it seems like the report would have came out the day or the day after the child was found alive. Only, that's not true either, as the child was determined to be alive on the 13th of July, and once again pronounced dead on the 15th, just 2 days later. Yet this video was published a full month later, on August 13th, 2014.
Okay, but, okay. I'm just gonna say this. I don't expect the news to do very, very thorough research on something like this. I don't know. Maybe I'm being delusional, but really, do you expect them to do thorough research and figuring everything out about this? Probably not. I don't know. I mean, it sounds to me like they're just commentating over a video, like, oh wow, look at this video that's viral, oh wow, look at this, and they don't know anything else. That's probably the case.
When this video went live, that little girl was long gone, and this is something that they likely knew, as it had been well reported in other major news outlets on the day of her actual passing. I mean, nowadays, even the top Google result for this incident mentions her passing, and it came out on the very day it happened. So when this video went live, they had to have known it wasn't true.
Okay.
What started on its own as one of the darkest videos on the site has now become even more twisted as the true ending has been revealed. A miracle that turned out to be nothing more than a mirage, leading to even more heartbreak as the family was now forced to grieve and come to terms with this girl's passing twice. And it's made even worse by the news report that has essentially rewritten the story's ending. But looking at just the video and the story as is, of how everything unfolded, it's still truly horrifying that this little girl was almost buried alive, whether she was conscious or not. And it makes me wonder how many others have been in that dreadful situation, buried alive by mistake. The answer to that question is one that we'll quite literally never know, since it is sealed within the claustrophobic walls of a dark coffin.
Oh my god. Look how many graves are. You know, it's just like shocking to realize that you know how like just in the United States alone, right? There's millions and millions, hundreds of millions of people who've lived in the United States, right? And the amount of graves we had to use, it's like, how do we have all this space in, in one area? Like, oh wow, we're gonna put like 10,000 people. I don't even know how many people get buried. I'm like assuming this graveyard, for example, or cemetery would be like 10,000 people. Looking at this, it's like, oh my God, look how many. Just look at that. It's like ooh, it's just disturbing to look at this for some reason. Knowing there's a bunch of dead people there. Oh my God. No, and I'm not one to believe, oh God, there's ghosts that are gonna come out of the graves. No, that's stupid.
With no hope of escape.
And that's the iMac.
Computers are coming your way.
Okay.
Divorce is often one of the more traumatic experiences that a young child can go through, as many are left in a state of confusion and distress at such a tumultuous time in their life. And for a young man named Daniel Bartlam, his childhood was sadly no different. Growing up in Nottinghamshire, England, Daniel's parents, Jackie and Adrian, would separate following the birth of Daniel's younger brother, with the situation leading to a split in the family, as the young boys would move to a new home with their mother. This brought Daniel to an unfamiliar town, as well as a brand new school.
You know what I've noticed is that a lot of time in divorces, the kids usually end up being with the mother. I don't understand why. I gotta be missing something, but in a lot of cases, that usually tends to be the case, from what I understand. Which, it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know why. I don't know. I don't know, because obviously I didn't go through divorce, so. Well, okay, I mean my family. Oh my God, that sounds like. Okay, never mind.
And to top it all off, Daniel's mother would soon find a new partner, further adding to the confusion that Daniel must have been feeling. All of these circumstances would lead Daniel to a declining mental state, as he began to isolate himself in his room, barely speaking to his family. Daniel's mother, Jackie, was well aware of the change in his behavior, and she soon thought of the perfect way to bring him out of this depression. So she saved up some money on the side until she eventually had enough to buy Daniel his very own iMac, a computer that he had been asking for years. At the time, Daniel had a vested interest in technology, even having his own YouTube channel dedicated to the topic. But this new computer meant an upgrade in quality and a future with limitless possibilities.
Well, by the way, the reason why I said it was dangerous is because a depressed man with access to the internet. Well, I don't know. It seems like things could go pretty bad fast. I don't know.
Overjoyed, Daniel quickly began a new channel and dedicated his very first upload to his new device.
This is crazy, bro. Crazy.
Hello YouTube, this is Daniel EB1702 here, and it's finally happened. I now have an iMac, and I can now make bigger and better.
Oh my God, this editing's crazy, bro.
The video is clearly nothing too special, as the quality is about what you would expect from a kid his age who was just starting out, and the following videos were much the same, with these uploads simply.
Allocate Windows, bro. Windows has so many problems. I'm not going there, bro. Windows. Ooh, not great. Not great at all. I think, okay, I'm just gonna go off on a tangent, because a fun fact, I've given a speech in school on why I hate Windows. Windows sucks. It is horrible. Okay, and there's a multitude of reasons, but, the main problem is it's forced down your throat. Well, that's the first problem, okay, dude? Like, I hate how every computer is installed with it, basically, and it's super inconvenient to get anything else. If you're trying to get a normal, like, computer, you're not, without Windows, it's like everything is so much more inconvenient. iMacs are very limited. Okay, I don't really know much about anything else, because all I use is Windows, but my point is, Windows, I just wish there was other options that actually were comparable to Windows, because, my God, Windows has problems. I don't even want to go into the details, because, frankly, that's not the point of this video at all. See, now I forgot everything. Oh, I wanted to say this, by the way. The guy's video, this kid's video, I know that he's excited and all that, but, like, dude, I don't know. I don't get how people can upload videos like that and not be embarrassed. Like, For me, when I first started uploading, bro, I used to get so like a pit in my stomach. And all I was uploading was Minecraft videos. And this guy's like fully exposing his face, making this like crazy video about like, I got an iMac. How do you not get embarrassed? Like, oh, people can see this on the internet. Bro, I used not even like even years like a couple years ago, like 2 or 3, even last year or 2 years ago, bro. Like I used to get nervous sometimes when I'd play games on stream like for the first time. Like there's just like I don't get how people don't have that feeling, bro. Like the pit in the stomach, like oh these people are gonna see it. Oh God. I know that I don't get that many views, but that's not the point. MacBooks feel way too slow and has low storage. Well, okay, but I'm not talking about Mac. Okay, well, no, okay. Well, okay, MacBooks is a whole different thing. I just saying the Windows in general, like the operating system is a problem. Not, I mean, I don't know. There is Linux, but and from what I understand, Linux you have to set up yourself, and a lot of things you do on Linux though is more hands-on approach. I don't know. I don't know much. Okay, I shouldn't speak on this too much. I just know I don't like Windows that much, but yeah. Start, bro. I literally. Okay. Oh, I pressed the N key.
Simply being compilations from a show he liked. It all may not have seemed like much, but this computer, along with this new channel, seemed to be the spark that he so badly needed. A new passion and a new outlook on life. But strangely, after just a few uploads, the account would go silent.
Wow, he got 215
This is something that happens all the time on YouTube, where a creator starts posting with high aspirations before abandoning their work, and it's typically due to a lack of success or just the overall busyness of life. But in Daniel's case, his reason for leaving was far darker, as right around the time of his last upload, he would experience the ultimate tragedy. On the morning of April 25th, 2011, neighbors of Daniel had reported hearing a commotion coming from his home. That commotion would soon turn to chaos, as the house suddenly erupted into flames, with smoke billowing out all sides. Through the commotion, Daniel would emerge from the home with his little brother and dog in hand, but his mother was nowhere to be found. Police and fire units arrived at the scene quickly, but were already too late, as inside the home they would find the badly burned and disfigured body of Jackie. And surprisingly, they'd soon notice that it wasn't the fire that had done her in, but rather she had been brutally murdered.
Okay, that's diabolical. Wow. Okay. I was gonna say, like, dude, I just like putting myself in that kid's shoe. Like, if my family members got killed in a fire or in my house, the house burned down, like, bro, I'd be just destroyed. But no, this guy turns out to be very evil, so that's great. He should have been burned in
With
the
what
fire.
appeared to be a hammer.
Bro, how do
The
you
scene
let
was
that?
shocking and incredibly chaotic, but luckily Daniel had been there to explain everything. According to the child, a masked burglar had entered the home before confronting his mother.
Ain't no one
the
believes that.
confrontation then led to the anonymous person attacking Jackie with a hammer, causing her to collapse to the floor. He then says the intruder lit her body on fire, leading Daniel to grab his
Who thinks this is a movie? Okay, yeah, no, this is a ridiculous story, bro. That's like something that happened in a movie. No normal person would be like, you know, I'm just gonna burn the body. Like, what? And leave witnesses? What? What? Why would you leave witnesses? I don't know. I don't get it. L. Daniel? Okay, well, I'm not gonna say it's confirmed him, but it's 99%
brother and
chance.
dog and escape from the blaze, saving what remained of his family as the murderer escaped out the back. Daniel's story stood out for several reasons, mainly because it showed Daniel was a hero for saving his brother and dog, and it showed just how traumatic that morning must have been for him.
What?
As in the matter of one day, Daniel had lost his home and his mother.
Okay, I'm actually shocked that that's the perspective people took. Oh my, I'm just, okay. Well, my guess is they're going to try to find the hammer, and then they're going to take DNA. They're going to try to find DNA on the fingerprints, and that's how they're going to catch him. That's my guess, because that's usually how it goes, but it takes a couple days for that to actually work out. The Easter Bunny sounds more believable than this. I don't know. That's hard. What if the intruder wore gloves? I'm gonna be honest, alright? I'm gonna be honest. Most intruders, criminals are so stupid that they don't think about these things. It's actually surprising how many, like, dumb intruders and criminals there are in the world who just leave behind their fingerprints everywhere, or they, don't clean up properly, or they leave obvious evidence. It's just diabolical. So the odds of, if this was a real intruder, right? The odds of them not having gloves on is super high because, let's be honest, they're probably dumb and didn't think about it.
In probably the most devastating way imaginable. But his story also stood out for one other reason, with that reason being in regards to the killer. As police began their investigation, they searched and searched for any clues left behind from this supposed masked intruder, but they found nothing. No fingerprints, no footprints, no anything. And looking for any semblance of a lead, they started to search through Daniel's room, where through the charred remains, they miraculously found his computer in perfect working order. Authorities would search the child's device when they stumbled upon something rather bizarre. It was a story that Daniel had typed months before in a Word document that was set as the scene of a soap opera that he had been writing. The story read, Daniel Bartlam, 1997 to 2047, the longest-serving male character to be on the show. The only place he couldn't get away with his deeds was with his mother, Jackie. So one evening, he made it look as though it was a break.
Why? Why would you write this? Okay, there's so many questions. Like, why would you? Why? I'm stuttering because I'm just like I'm so lost. Like how is it that you're depressed? And your mother gives you like the greatest thing of all, the best gift of all time, takes you out of depression, and then you decide I'm gonna murder my mother. But what? Logic does not make sense. You're gonna murder the person who's financially supporting you and gave you the best gift of all time. What? As a kid, that doesn't even make sense. Why? There's gotta be something missing.
And murdered his mother with a hammer, and then set her and the family home alight, but helped his brother out to safety, and got his neighbors to contact the police. The story ends with Daniel lying to the police and getting away with murder.
Well, the other thing is, why would you write this? You think Daniel was so pissed at his mom that he didn't get his Robux on his birthday? I mean, maybe. I don't know what the details are. Who snitched on Daniel? That's not even a who snitched. It's the fact that he wrote that story on his computer. By the way, I'm just curious how people would feel about this. How would you feel if the police looked through your computer for evidence of a crime? Because me personally, how would I feel? I don't really have that much bad stuff on my computer, but I do have some embarrassing stories that I wrote in Word documents from when I was a child. I'd prefer not them to read those, but, whatever, I guess. And I don't really have that much bad stuff on my computer, to be honest. Like, I don't know, I can't think of anything bad. Like, I have some weird images, like, some weird memes, but that's about it. Like, I don't know. I know a lot of people would probably freak out because they have stuff downloaded that's horrible, like porn. Well, I mean, that's not horrible, I guess, depending who you ask. I don't know. Your streams are questionable, but that's not downloaded on my computer. What? Like, I don't, I used to save all my videos, and I still have a lot of my older, like, my first, like, 700 videos I uploaded, I'd say 500. 500 videos or so are saved on my computer, but after that I started deleting them all. So, I mean, they're gonna see that, but, I mean, let's be honest, no one's gonna watch all that. They can still track deleted content. I don't have anything bad on my... Like, what? I don't have anything bad. And also, like, okay, so I download my streams to edit them. Like, oh no. Oh no, my streams are questionable. Oh no. I don't know.
It was a shocking revelation, as his mother had been killed with a hammer and set on fire, through what Daniel had described as a break-in, just as his story was written. And to make it all stranger, further investigation would reveal that in the days prior to Jackie's death, Daniel had attempted to delete the document, though he had failed to fully remove it. And the findings went deeper.
Okay, so when you said, police could still track delete content, that's true. To be fair, he probably just forgot to hit the delete button after he recycled it, because a lot of people don't know that if you recycle something, or at least on Windows, if you delete something, it goes to recycle, and then it gets auto-deleted after, I think, 90 days, but, or was it 30 days? I don't remember, but if you don't do anything, then it just stays there until the, the days come by, so you have to recycle it from the recycle. Or delete it from the recycle bin. I don't know. Which, I don't know. Maybe he forgot to do that part. I don't know.
As countless screenshots and clips of a character from a show called Coronation Street were found on the hard drive, with it appearing as though Daniel had an obsession with this character, which proved to be rather interesting, as the character, John Stape, was a villain who had murdered another character with a claw hammer, the same weapon used on his mother. Investigators would keep digging until they eventually found the nail in the coffin, as it was revealed that in the days prior to the attack, Daniel had searched how to get away with murder.
Okay, and this is what confuses me, is when people say, oh, you get put on a watch list if you search things up like this. Why was he not on a watch list then? Like, really? That's why I don't believe that, because the amount of times you hear stories of, like, they'll be doing investigative work and they'll find out the murderer, search up something like how to buy a gun illegally or something on Google. It's like, wait, so you didn't know that already? Oh, okay, so very clearly you're not on a watch list. I don't believe the whole watch list thing, unless I guess you go to the extreme, but like if there was a watch list, then dark web wouldn't even exist. Like, yeah, I don't know. I don't believe it. I think it's stupid. It's a way to get people to be fearful of, ooh, searching things up they shouldn't. Ooh.
With the slew of information and the lack of evidence that a break-in had ever occurred, Daniel's story quickly fell apart, until he eventually admitted the gruesome truth that he had been the one who had taken his mother's life. On the 24th of April, Daniel would spend the night in his room rewatching one of his favorite Saw movies. He then emerged from the room carrying a claw hammer and approached his sleeping mother. He proceeded to strike her 7 times in the face before eventually setting her body on fire and escaping the home with his brother and dog, acting as the hero who had quote-unquote saved the day, when in reality it was all his doing. And the entire series of events had been plotted out on the very computer that his mother gave him, the same computer that he had so excitedly made this video on just months before the attack.
I just don't... What's the motive? Like, what? I still don't get the motive. The motive makes no sense in my eyes, because there's no motive. Like, there's got to be a reason why you attack your mother. Besides, well, I saw my favorite character do that. That's like saying, wow, I saw, I don't know, the Joker try to kill Batman, and he also took over the entire town of Gotham City. I want to do that to Chicago. What? And then someone acts like the Joker. Like, no, that doesn't happen.
To this day, we don't really know why Daniel chose to attack his mother, as any reason he's given has been fairly easily disproven, with many chalking it up to his tumultuous childhood.
It's not true the FBI doesn't track you nor your searches unless someone is into illegal activity. Okay. I guess that makes sense. But then again, I don't know. I still don't know if that's even true. I think people, I just had a conversation with someone the other day who was saying like, oh, don't search up, what was it? Like, I don't even remember. They said don't search this up because he'll get on the most searched wanted list. It's like, dude, get out of here. Google searches are not going to put you on the most wanted. If you search up how to make, poisonous gas, I don't think the FBI is going to be like, time to watch this guy, because there's thousands of people they have to go through. Thousands of people they have to look into.
Though we have learned more information about his early years, with many of these stories proving to be incredibly disturbing and hinting at the idea that Daniel was mentally unwell. For instance, it was said that he had an obsession with gruesome movies and games that seemed to inspire his own violent thoughts as he began watching these graphic films at the age of 8. He took these films as inspiration to start writing his own stories, which almost always ended in death and murder, and the details of which were said to be incredibly intense. And in a much darker example, about 6 weeks before the murder, during a normal day at school, Daniel began desperately yanking at his tie, insisting that it was trying to strangle him. When further asked about this, he then revealed that he was hearing voices, and those voices...
Okay. Yeah, so it's one of these situations. I call it schizophrenia, but I really don't know what it is. I don't think it actually is it, but they do say sometimes when you have schizophrenia, you do hear voices in your head that tell you things. So, you know, I just call it that, but I really don't know what it is.
Voices were telling him to hurt people. But surprisingly, after being given a psychiatric evaluation, the counselor told his mother that there was nothing wrong with Daniel.
Okay. You know what the problem with those evaluations are? Is that you can easily lie. Guarantee he did lie too, or he knew that was happening, because if you're anywhere near aware of what is being said, like what is being asked, you're not going to be like, oh yeah, because they ask stupid questions, right? They'll be like, are you depressed? Do you take drugs? Did you feel like killing yourself? That's what they say. They'll say things that are super obvious, and if you say yes, it's like, oh wow, okay, there's a problem. They don't ask any deeper though, so it's like if you just say no, they're not going to ask any leading questions after that. They just immediately assume, oh, it's okay. Like, if you lie on that, dude, it's like, oh, well, I guess you have no problems. Like, what? That's stupid.
But to be on the safe side, they did offer counseling that Jackie would quickly deny, a decision that, for her, may have ultimately proven fatal. Whatever made Daniel snap that day, it was seemingly a long time coming. And despite his young age, he would be sentenced to life in prison, with a chance for parole coming in the distant future. But the truly tragic note here is about his mother, Jackie, as she bought her son that iMac that he so clearly loved, and she did so in the hopes that it would bring some much-needed happiness during such a tough time in his life. How could she have known that, in reality, Daniel would turn around and use that very computer to plan and eventually carry out her very own murder?
Damn.
I want to give a huge thank you to my gold tier and god tier patrons, Allie Farmer, Barry Winston.
Damn, okay. What does it say? Gamer? Oh, Gamer? That's a horrible name. That's stupid. The deck of cards. Yeah, okay. Sub to Micro Zero. See, why am I reading these? It's not even my stupid, and they don't support me, so why am I reading them? I don't know. I'm just guessing looking at the names going, what are these names? Some of them are weird. No, this was a good video, by the way. The guy holding the tornado was consumed by a tornado. Guy holding the tornado. The guy holding phone while being consumed by a tornado hold it better than school fight video. It's so true. But I don't know. Actually, yeah. How did he have? Oh, you know what? I'm not. How did he have so many steady hand? I can't speak right now. It's actually going really annoying. Night turns tragic for 3 college party girls. I'm gonna put that safe watch later, and now it's gonna be at a whole lot higher